At approximately 4 p.m. this afternoon, a Marine F-8 Crusader crashed south of the air station in the vicinity of Mount Creek Lake in Grand Prairie. The pilot, Captain Eric L. Ruth, 30, of Bay City, Texas, ejected and was picked up by an LTV helicopter. He was brought back to the air station where doctors examined him. He was uninjured. Cause of the crash is unknown, and there has been no report of property damage. Captain Ruth was on a routine training flight and was returning to the air station when the crash occurred.
Well, some of the men have up 300, 400 days accumulated sick leave, and if they'd leave, they'd get paid the equivalent to all that pay. And
which would be?
Depend upon how many left in a given year, but we're estimating about $250,000 a year.
When we centralized 2 or 2.5 years ago, we were doing work outside at some outside data centers, and we brought that work in, and were able to do it for about half the cost.
Governor Dolph Briscoe today declared an emergency and asked the legislature to act on education financing bills. About 30 minutes later, the House Education Committee did act, but went much further than the governor wanted. Committee Chairman Dan Kubiak and the governor agree that there should be equal taxing and equal education opportunities across the state. The governor's plan, however, only begins the tax equalizing process, and it only helps the 112 poorest school districts in the state. Kubiak's bill establishes equal tax efforts in all districts and provides more state money for all but the wealthy districts. As examples, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Denton could all spend $200 or $300 more per student, but reduce taxes by 10 to 20%. Naturally, the governor's plan would cost less, requiring $39 million in new money next year, while the bill approved by the committee needs $97 million new dollars. The fate of both is uncertain.
Right behind that small tree. Above.
5 feet, right? About even with that other tree, right?
Will y'all shoot me?
Aircraft? Yes. What's supposed to come out?
Here basically an implementation, which is the green measure there before. That means that you could remove, for instance, the adjust any way that you need according to the revenue that you have. It does not change the local district's right to assess and collect taxes as. So basically, those are the things in House Bill 946 and all items that previously had not been checked have been checked. The agriculture exemption as provided by the Constitution, the issue raised by Rodriguez. Now let's look at it and see what House Bill 946, the committee amendment number 1, does not do. It does not only energy review and it shows you exactly how it can be phased in.
The only suggested solution is that which I'm sure the federal government wants, and that is from general revenue sharing on the local level. And this would mean additional funds requested for library books.
How much funds?
We're thinking in terms of an additional $250,000 a year for 4 years to meet the goal of bringing the library collection to standard of 2 books per capita.
At noon today, you're going to dim the lights and light a candle to call attention to your plight. Is that correct?
Right. This is a national effort.
It's about that time. If I get the light, would you light the candle?
Be happy to.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Fisher.
Thank you.
People initially, I suspect, are afraid of what's going to happen to them. But we must recognize that we're not putting an atomic bomb in them or anything like that. But we're using really minute tracer doses of radioactive material to find out what's going on in the patient, whether they might have a tumor or a blood clot or something like that in a particular part of their body. The amount of material that we use is really very, very small and not dangerous in any way, shape, or form. It's not a brand new kind of experience to me, really. Yeah. 52.
So.
Not speeding. And sets down the criteria. We had a man must be indicted and tried. So there are safeguards for the defendants and there's safeguards for the prosecution. That is one of the
As for instance, you'll find the doors locked just like they are here. So you couldn't walk into, I drew the assignment to put on the first computer system there in the business area, which was inventory. For the criminal case histories would mostly from a systems analysis, and we not only
the old
Governor Dolph Briscoe today sent an emergency message on education to the legislature. It was read to senators by Senate Secretary Charles Snabel.
I have said on many occasions that I believe that every child should have the opportunity of a quality education, regardless of where he lives or the economic status of his community.
The governor's message was issued while the House Education Committee was debating school finance plans, including the governor's. Chairman Dan Kubiak gained approval of his total plan, which provides additional state money for most districts and requires all to equalize tax assessments across the state. Governor Briscoe's plan is more of an emergency item that would help the 112 poorest districts in the state. However, the governor's plan would add only $39 million to the state budget next year, while Kubiak's would require $97 million in new money. Kubiak explained, however, that his total approach could be adopted and the equalizing could go into effect, and then one or two features of his bill could be withheld if the full amount is not available for funding.
If this measure gets to the Senate, then this measure, if they find they do not have whatever funds we call for here for the first 2 years of the biennium, they pull accordingly and add amendments accordingly to make this measure comply with it. We don't know what that amount is at the present time.
As we reported several weeks ago, Kubiak's plan would allow schools in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Denton to raise their spending by $200 or $300 per student, but still charge somewhat lower taxes than now. Only the wealthier districts that have a few students would actually lose money under this plan. However, the fate of that bill in the full House and in the Senate is uncertain. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move in Austin.
This bill definitely would increase the operating cost of the city of Fort Worth for operating our fire department. It provides that firemen would receive, when they leave the city employment for any reason, pay for all their accumulated sick leave. Currently, the law provides that they get paid for up to 90 days accumulated sick leave. But this bill provides that they get paid for all of it.
What kind of money are we talking about?
I was an engineer in Fort Worth for about 5 years. When they had the last recession, I decided that rather than take a job up north, that I would stay here in Texas. And we had thought about starting a business of our own, my brother and I. And he was in Vietnam at the time. So I went to work, and I landed the contract with Western Electric. And by the time that he had gotten back from Vietnam, I had the business in-house, and we got started from there.
What are the main problems of a small minority businessman?
Well, just have to keep knocking on doors and have to present, have to show people really that you're capable of doing, or producing the product that they need.
North Texans who have assisted in minority business enterprises are being honored tonight as a climax to the trade fair. In other words, the idea of helping people help themselves seems to be catching on. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna in Dallas.
Has approved the long-discussed new penal code, 253 pages that update thousands of statutes relating to crimes and their penalties. Senator Tati Santiastaban gives you an idea.
This breaks it down into 6 different punishment ranges. It's a Class A misdemeanor, Class B misdemeanor, and Class C misdemeanor. And then we have a first-degree felony, second-degree felony, and third-degree felony. The highest crime we have here is no less than 5 years and no more than 99 years or life.
The new code also leaves out marijuana and narcotics legislation, which is being handled separately. Lawyers and legislators have worked on this new code for 7 years, often with great controversy, but most have endorsed this new penal code. It awaits action now by the full House and the full Senate. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move in Austin.
These students are enrolled in a 2-year electronics program at Eastfield College. They're like many students, not only in Dallas and Fort Worth, but elsewhere in the state, who choose to go the community college route because it's convenient. They can take courses that will interest them or enroll in specialized programs that will prepare them for a career in some specialized field. That's the attractive feature of community college. It's a way of getting an education in something like electronics and at the same time get around taking courses that aren't relevant. Well, all that could change. Currently before the House Education Committee is a bill that would force all technical vocational students to take 6 hours of history and 6 hours of government before a degree or certificate could be granted.
If the bill passes, the students in the technical programs right now are either going to have to stay in school for another half semester to finish those courses, or to get finished in 2 years, we're going to have to drop some required technical courses that would benefit us more in the field when we get jobs.
Well, it would cut back subjects like the real meat of the course here is actually troubleshooting a computer, where you'd have to cut back from the top end. You couldn't cut out the basics. We assume a student knows nothing about electronics when he starts, and we build him up to the point where he can troubleshoot these complex circuits, and you'd have to cut back from the top. So you're actually cutting out, in my opinion, the heart of the program.
Under current Texas law, only students enrolled in a 4-year baccalaureate degree program are required to take the history and government courses. If this bill is passed into law, it could mean 2 things to students enrolled in the 2-year degree programs. It could mean the elimination of certain electives, or it could mean the lengthening of programs. In either case, students are not very fond of the idea. I'm Rene Castilla reporting for Channel 8 News.
Having been in the final last couple of years, you understand what the pressure all is and what it all means, and I think that'll be really a plus on our side.
This probably, I guess, would really be a plus for you and Ken Rosewall, and work to the detriment of a guy like Stan Smith, who's had such a great year but has never been in this big of a tournament, I guess.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to fare well in it, but I think if you do know the procedures behind it and just how much the pressure will hit someone like Stan, and if he's playing well, then nothing will hurt him. But if he's playing strangely, and the pressure does start catching him, I think his elbow's going to stiffen up a little bit and make it a bit tough. But still, Stan's played good all year.
What do you like to do when you're at home? Watch television, right? What do you do when you're at home? Like Fritz Elementary School. Hi there. Hello. Hi.
Talk to him, girl. Come over and shake hands. Come on, shake hands. Say hi there. Hi there.
What's your name? Christy what? Christy Sesame Street?
Is that a little boy walk up there too?
Randy, go there.
Go on over there and talk to him.
This is Randy.
This is Bradley.
Bradley. I see. Turn around and let the Dallas folks see you there, Bradley.
I really don't know. Yesterday I played at Save a Hard Day for Billy Casper. They honored Billy Casper in San Diego, Chula Vista, and we played San Diego Country Club. and I was just able to play 9 holes, and I had to quit. But it was pulled. I did go to another doctor, and this doctor did tried to pop some of the vertebrae in my back, which might be pinching the nerve and the muscle. It's on the first rib here. And other than that, he gave me a prescription to pick up some pills. So if they don't give me a saliva test, I'll probably do pretty good this week. I don't know.
Do you feel like you're going to make the whole tournament, or are you making a showing out of courtesy?
Well,
you're still aiming for that $1 million.
No, I'm always aiming for the million, but no, I don't. I like to play in Texas. I've already missed 2 of the tournaments in Texas that I wanted to play in, and it would just it would kill me if I missed this one. But I'm going to try. I told him I was going to play a practice round today and then play the Prem tomorrow. If my chest is hurting real bad, I have to withdraw. I have to withdraw to get this well because the Open's coming up, the British Open. And I wouldn't, if it is hurting any whatsoever, I'd hate to start off and then quit after about 9 holes or so and not allow or not let an alternate get in. You know, I'd kind of hate to start and knowing that I probably won't finish and then keep some other kid out from playing.
Some big tadpoles in Augusta.
Bob Gooding.
Hello, Bob. How are you? Yeah, I heard those cats put it on me last night. Murphy Martin and Vern Lundquist.
Congratulations, first of all, on the
Thanks,
Houston
Bob.
win. How's it feel being the leading money winner on the tour?
Well, it's a new experience for me, Bob. Of course, I'm delighted, and I'm glad all that money's coming to Dallas.
How's your game right now?
Well, it's not too bad today, better than I expected it to be. I haven't had too much rest since Houston. We got home late on Sunday night, early Monday morning actually, and by the time we made some overseas phone calls, it was 2:30 before we got to bed. And yesterday I tried to take a nap a few times, and every time the phone started to ring, we had calls from Australia and coast to coast, and it's just been an exciting period. It always is.
This is a pretty good course, and you always play it pretty well. Are you expecting to do the same this year?
Well, yes, I'd like to. I'm not really hoggish, though, about winning back-to-back tournaments again, but I've proved that it can be done this year. But Colonial's one of my favorite places. I've always enjoyed playing here. I just like the flavor of the tournament, and they leave no stone unturned to make us feel welcome. And, of course, like every week, they prepare the golf course just to perfection.
You think you have enough money to last you the year? Or you...
Well, if you listened to Vern last night, you know, he said it like I meant it. I was sort of joking, but, no, I haven't, because I haven't achieved everything I want to do yet, you know. I don't have a lifetime exemption or a long-time exemption, and, of course, now I'd like to be the leading money winner or the leading man on the points list at the end of the year. That'd give me a 5-year exemption, and then I'd be able to stay in Dallas a little more and listen to you and Murphy and Vern and the smiling redhead, as they call him.
I think the advantages would be to reduce the jail population, to relieve the police of some of the burden of the alcoholics at the present time, to ensure a proper medical disposition, that a person would be medically checked and treated for the illnesses that they had. This hopefully would take care of the revolving door problem because of the other services that would be available, and it would be part of 3 services that would be offered in one building, so services would be available to anybody that came in.
Work from the buyers.
If he's been in business all his life, he ought to have some connections. Okay, that'll sell.